Well, it's another day with clear skies here. It is spring, and I know a few of you have been wondering about our chickens. They're doing pretty good. They're outside, growing quite a bit. These are actual Murray McMurray chickens that flew in from Iowa back in April. And with it being springtime, we're wondering where the severe weather is. You can see that we should be reaching a peak in Oklahoma, but we've not had very much going on. And even looking yesterday when we had those storms there in Oklahoma, no tornadoes. These were all hail and wind corridors. And we had one right there in the Ardmore area and another further up near Ada last night. Well, conditions today in the desert southwest marked by a division between polar air located in New Mexico right there and continental tropical air across Arizona. And there in El Paso, Deming, you can see that easterly wind there. East wind at El Paso is almost always due to either the monsoon later in the summer or cold air coming in across the mountains of West Texas. In this case, it's going to be the latter. And we're seeing the reestablishment of the semi-permanent southwest heat low. There it is from the deserts of Arizona around Ajo all the way up to around Winnemucca, Nevada. And that's all due to the very intense heating. And you can kind of make out the convergence in the wind field right there between western Nevada and eastern Nevada there. So very strong heating there in the higher elevations of the Great Basin. And further out west, we can see the next Pacific front coming inland with some cool, cloudy weather in southwest Oregon. And out ahead of it, very hot temperatures, 87 to 85 there at, looks like Beale Air Force Base in Sacramento. Yeah, it's definitely starting to look like late spring there in the deserts. Absolutely clear skies except for a few clouds in the higher elevations of New Mexico. A couple features we can see, the snowpack in the Central Rockies and the Wasatch of Utah, and also white sands showing up very well there. Up to the north we can see ridging. You can see that cirrus moving around the top of that ridge there, and a little bit of lee side cirrus just west of Denver. And why don't we take a look at that? Very spectacular there. What we're seeing here, this is the South Park Basin. We've got Buena Vista and Trinidad right there, and Denver right there, Colorado Springs somewhere in this area, and Pueblo. And that cirrus moves in. Very strong winds aloft, and you can see that mountain wave action get started. So probably a little bit of turbulence getting established in that part of Colorado. Well, we got another front moving through the southeastern U.S. The main surface low is in the Atlanta area, and you can see a couple lines of thunderstorms in northern Georgia and northern South Carolina. The majority of the cold front, though, is pretty dry, and that's probably due to some capping going on. Cold air moving into much of Texas there. You can see that coming down with upper 70s, and up to the north, a lot of cold air, not surprisingly, up in the northeastern U.S. And there we can see the storms in northern Georgia. There's the anvils. And then moving down the front, looks like not much going on, but what looks like anvil debris right there. And then we can see a little bit of a boundary appearance going all the way into Texas, kind of tracing out the location of the front. Up to the north, you can see the drier air coming in to Arkansas, North Texas. And as we get further to the east, a little bit more isentropic lift and air mass modification going on. And there's a close-up look at the thunderstorms there in northern Georgia. Definitely a sheared environment, not only from the anvils, but also the cirrus moving west to east there. Those elements moving very quickly that way. And sheared environments always mean long-lived storms and storm organization. And not surprisingly, we've got a marginal to a slight risk out ahead of that region. And as a result, severe thunderstorm watch there for northern South Carolina and southern North Carolina. Locally damaging wind gusts and hail with isolated tornadoes. And they are keeping an eye on the Houston-Beaumont area, expecting some isolated hail wind along that lagging tail end of the front in that area. Well, conditions in the northeastern U.S., cold once again, 40s and 50s. Looks like a Alberta clipper coming out of the Dakotas and Iowa area. I just noticed this and added it to the chart. And you can see the strong difference between the 72 there, looks like around Topeka, up to 54, 46. That's a pretty huge temperature drop. And you can see a little bit of sand being raised at Omaha. Same thing out ahead of it, 60s around southern Illinois, down to 40s around Indianapolis. So yeah, that's certainly a front there. As far as the northeastern U.S., just under that northerly pressure gradient. And I kind of wonder if that's maybe a more fitting weather symbology. Yeah, it looks like a pretty well-developed system there in Iowa and northern Missouri. Now, ahead of it, there's all that isentropic lift, creating low clouds and gray weather, Indianapolis, Champaign, and Chicago. And up to the north, Maine being hammered by that strong cold air advection, getting some good towering cumulus out in that part of the country. And looks like a lot of the lakes up there in Ontario and Quebec still frozen. Yeah, originally I placed a front right in this area, but I don't think that exists. And I actually think we may be looking at something more like this. Now, why is that? Let's go to the satellite. Looks like our main weather system is offshore. There it is right there. That's going to be a cold front running about like that, and maybe a warm front somewhere up north. But lots of cold air advection in this area, and that's going to put this area underneath a warm sector. And looking at the GFS for help, well, I don't know. I can probably make out kind of a boundary right there. Yeah, this is really a tough one. Yeah, that's what I was looking at, something right in there. In fact, I actually see the troughing, but it just does not match up with what I see on satellite. Well, we can go to the Weather Prediction Center. Well, they don't have a front out there. They're going for a trough too. So I might just leave that area alone for now. And I think what's happening here is we've got very intense heating in the deserts. So in response, we've got the low pressure and troughing, and it's bringing a little bit of a westerly component, causing a very slight air mass contrast. But yeah, these are some mild temperatures, especially Seattle, 67 up there. And then looking up and down the coast, yeah, the temperatures are a little lower in this area, but we've got 65 along the Washington coast. So if there is a front here, it's going to be a very small scale feature. All right, we got to get this production wrapped up, so let's look at the week ahead. Springboarding off of that satellite front somewhere in this area along the west coast. And let's see, tail end of the front down there in Texas and southeast U.S. running about like that. And you can see that high pressure coming into the plains. This is all one big ridge. For Wednesday evening, a lot of ridging all the way down to the Mississippi River Valley. And now we've got a very strong front coming inland. There it is right there. That's got quite a punch coming in through Salt Lake City, western Montana, and Yellowstone. Return flow starting to get established on the high plains there and off the east coast. There goes our outgoing cold front. And continued northerly winds there in the northeast U.S. Then for Thursday, yeah, that cold air looks like it's sinking through the central Rockies region. So I'm going to put a cold front kind of like that. And I can make out the return flow bringing up the warm front in northwest Texas. There goes the outgoing high pressure system and maybe a new outbreak of cold air coming in through the Great Lakes area. Not sure where that warm front would be, something like that. But there's the center of the cold air mass. So maybe some storms there along that warm front there in southwestern Oklahoma for Thursday. Oh yeah, boy, that really fired off. So looks like a nighttime squall line in Oklahoma in southwestern Missouri. That looks like it's developing along that. Maybe, yeah, I guess that's kind of an occluded front extending northward. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where that warm front is. Maybe it's up there. The cold front is definitely very evident, so I'm going to probably do the boundaries kind of like that. Looks like things are just basically going up along the frontal boundaries. So maybe the best chance of severe weather around Paducah for Friday morning. Well, things should be easing off a little bit because it's the convective minimum. Wow, some snow up there in the Columbus area of Ohio. So this system is pretty potent, and it's going to move rapidly eastward. Looks like snow there for Pittsburgh and the central mountains of Pennsylvania. There's the cold front coming down. New outbreak of cold air for Friday. And looks like another Alberta clipper on its way south there. Something like that. And let's see how things look on the weekend. Wow. Good grief. More cold air. 516 decameter thickness. This is crazy. Just like the never-ending winter. So there's another little nor'easter going up the coast near Boston, and another Alberta clipper coming south. Where does this go? Is this more cold air? Let's check it out. Yeah, Big 10 40 millibar high up there in Canada. Cold air. That's going to keep things shut down. I would hate to be chasing this month. It's just brutal. All this cold air. And we're going into next week, Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, yeah, the Gulf is open again, so maybe some chances of storms there around midweek. And I guess things finally warm up, but I can see more cold air up north. Nah, I think maybe the pattern is shifting over. Even the GFS, which is usually a cold bias model, is now backing off on all that cold air. Definitely some troughing there towards the 20th, the very, very end of the run. So that's going to mean west coast troughing and maybe an increase in thunderstorm activity on the Great Plains. And May 20th, May 21st, that tends to be one of the biggest severe weather weeks of the year, climatologically. So we'll go ahead and get this edited and uploaded. We heard some rumbles of thunder as I wrapped this up, so I went ahead and sent out the drone. So here's some footage as we close things out. Enjoy, and we'll see you tomorrow.